The gospel we have today is rather interesting. First, let's deal with what happens in the end. Jesus does not make light of what the woman has done. He does not approve of the sin that the others are charging her with. He simply says to her, "I do not condemn you. I acknowledge your faults and your failings, but I send you now healed, made clean, and I invite you to not sin anymore." Those words are echoed when we celebrate the sacrament of reconciliation, for indeed at the very end of the sacrament, the challenge is for the penitent to go and sin no more, taken from this very gospel. But now that we've dealt with the fact of the woman and Jesus' forgiveness for her, let's look at how she got there to begin with. She is brought there by others. Now, first and foremost, to celebrate any sacrament in the life of the church, you must freely request it. And so we're not in the business of going out and dragging others in, saying, "This one's a sinner. Now what are you going to do with him? This one's a sinner. What are you going to say to her?" Everyone must come seeking freely the grace of the sacraments, including the sacrament of reconciliation. But too often, much like the gospel today, we drag others in. Yes, we come. We want the forgiveness that God offers us. We want to be made pure in His sight, but rather than just face our own demons and confront our own sins, sometimes we want to excuse our behavior. And so not only do we acknowledge a few of our slight transgressions, for good measure, we throw in others who have done worse things. That confession that begins with, "I wouldn't have said this if my husband hadn't done that. I wouldn't have behaved this way had my children not done this. You know, I'd be a nicer person if my neighbor didn't always do this." Much like the gospel today, we drag others in. We drag others along and we acknowledge for them their sinfulness, their behavior, because we feel it justifies or minimizes our transgressions. The reality is that during this Lenten season and every day of our lives, while others around us may sin, we need to recognize so do we. And we need to deal with our own sins. We need to come before our God, acknowledge our faults, invite His healing, and then be given the same charge that He gave the woman in the gospel today, to go and sin no more. This season of Lent has invited us, yes, to increase our prayer, our self-denial, our acts of charity, but also to take responsibility for ourselves, our own personal relationship with Jesus that is made all the stronger by our acknowledgement of our sins and our desire for His mercy.